The air in the university's hallowed special collections was thick with the scent of aged paper and quiet dust. Elias Thorne, a man whose 80 years seemed to cling to him like the faint patina on an antique coin, ran a gnarled finger over the spine of a leather-bound tome. For 50 years, he had been the silent guardian of these texts, their whispers his only companions. He knew the weight of every volume, the secrets hidden within their brittle pages, the stories behind their faded inscriptions. His world was orderly, meticulous, and increasingly obsolete. "Mr. Thorne, a moment." The voice was crisp, cutting through the stillness like a newly sharpened blade. Dr. Felicity Vance, the university's rising star in digital humanities, stood framed in the doorway, her tablet glowing with an almost aggressive brightness. Beside her, Dean Sterling, a man whose gaze always seemed fixed on spreadsheets rather than scholarship, nodded curtly. "We're implementing the new AI-driven cataloging system," Dr. Vance announced, her tone a practiced blend of enthusiasm and condescension. "It's efficient, scalable, and frankly, a necessary step into the 21st century. Your traditional methods, while quaint, simply don't align with our vision." Elias felt a familiar ache, not in his joints, but in his chest. "These aren't just files, Dr. Vance. They are narratives. Each one unique." Dean Sterling cleared his throat. "With all due respect, Elias, we're talking about optimizing resources. Your position, as it stands, is redundant. We'll be transitioning you to a part-time, advisory role, mostly remote." He didn't meet Elias's eyes. A cold knot tightened in Elias's stomach. Remote. It was a polite dismissal, a slow fade into irrelevance. He nodded slowly, his gaze drifting back to the shelves, to the silent witnesses of his life's work. "Understood, Dean." He didn't argue. He didn't beg. What was there to say? The world had moved on. The next morning, the news was official. Elias Thorne, the human index of the university's oldest treasures, was being phased out. Dr. Vance, glowing with self-satisfaction, gave an interview to the campus paper about the revolutionary new system. "It's about progress," she chirped. "Leaving the past behind to embrace the future." Students, eager to impress, snickered quietly as Elias shuffled through the halls, carrying a box of his personal effects. "Look at him," a young intern whispered, loud enough to be heard. "Still using a magnifying glass. Doesn't even know how to open a PDF." Elias simply tightened his grip on the box. He felt a quiet humiliation, a sense of being an anachronism in a world that no longer valued patience or the quiet dedication of a lifetime. He was a relic, soon to be filed away and forgotten. Later that afternoon, as Elias was carefully wrapping a small, leather-bound diary he had been studying for weeks, the grand oak doors of the special collections swung open. A hush fell over the room. Standing there, amidst the hushed reverence of the archive, was General Alastair Finch, retired. His uniform was crisp, his bearing commanding, and his chest adorned with a constellation of medals. He was a titan of military history, a celebrated author, and a man whose presence usually merited an entire security detail. Dean Sterling, flustered, rushed forward. "General Finch, an unexpected honor. Your keynote address isn't until tomorrow evening." General Finch's gaze, however, swept past the dean, past Dr. Vance, and landed directly on Elias. "I'm looking for Mr. Elias Thorne." Dr. Vance, startled, stepped forward. "He's in transition, General. We're upgrading our systems." General Finch's eyes, sharp and unwavering, fixed on her. "I believe I asked for Mr. Thorne." Elias, still clutching the diary, slowly straightened. "That would be me, sir." The general strode directly towards Elias, ignoring the stunned faces around him. He stopped inches away, then did something extraordinary. He saluted. A crisp, formal salute, reserved for only the highest respect. "Mr. Thorne," General Finch said, his voice resonating with a quiet power that silenced the room. "Permission to speak on record about your service." Elias blinked, bewildered. "Service, sir?" "Indeed," the general replied, turning to face the bewildered Dean and the now pale Dr. Vance. "Dean Sterling, Dr. Vance. You speak of progress, of leaving the past behind. Let me tell you about a piece of history you clearly know nothing about." In 1978, during the height of the Cold War, a crisis brewed. A coded message, intercepted from an enemy state, was deemed utterly indecipherable. Our top cryptographers, our nascent computer systems, all failed. The intelligence pointed to a potential global catastrophe. He paused, letting the weight of his words settle. The message was hidden within a series of obscure, seemingly random notations in a rare, medieval theological text. A text that sat right here in this very collection. General Finch pointed a finger, not at a digital screen, but at a dusty shelf. "Our intelligence agencies were at a dead end," he continued, his voice steady. "Then a young, unknown archivist, working late nights, not with algorithms, but with a magnifying glass, a pencil, and an unparalleled understanding of historical ciphers and forgotten linguistic nuances, cracked it." He turned back to Elias, a profound respect in his gaze. Elias Thorne. He didn't use a supercomputer. He used his mind, his knowledge, and his unwavering dedication to the hidden truths within these very pages. His deciphering of that document, a process he completed in less than 72 hours, averted what would have been a devastating international incident. My own career and the lives of countless soldiers were saved by his quiet, unheralded brilliance. The room was silent. Dr. Vance looked as if she'd been struck. Dean Sterling's face was a mask of shock, his carefully constructed composure crumbling. "He didn't ask for recognition," General Finch stated, his voice now a low rumble of authority. "His work was classified, his contribution buried for decades under layers of national security. He simply returned to his quiet life, guarding the very secrets he had helped to unravel. And now you deem him redundant." He pulled a thick, official-looking envelope from his inner jacket pocket. "This, Dean Sterling, is a letter to the university board, detailing Mr. Thorne's invaluable service and my personal recommendation for his immediate reinstatement to a position commensurate with his expertise. And this," he produced a smaller, sealed envelope, "is for Mr. Thorne. It's an offer from the National Archives to head a new department dedicated to the preservation and interpretation of classified historical documents, a role created specifically for him." General Finch turned back to Elias, his expression softening. "Mr. Thorne, sir. The world owes you a debt it never knew it had. You didn't just preserve history, you shaped it." Elias stood there, the old diary still in his hand, the weight of the moment settling over him. He looked at the faces around him, the shame on Dr. Vance's, the utter bewilderment on Dean Sterling's, the dawning realization on the faces of the students and staff. He hadn't sought this vindication, but it felt like a balm to a wound he hadn't known ran so deep. "What happens now, General?" Elias asked, his voice still soft, but now with a newfound resonance. General Finch smiled. "Now, Mr. Thorne, the world remembers what true value looks like." He glanced pointedly at Dean Sterling. "And some institutions learn that progress isn't always about replacing the old, but understanding its profound, enduring worth." That evening, the university's official statement was short and terse. Elias Thorne had been appointed Chief Archivist Emeritus, a lifetime position with full benefits and an expanded budget for traditional methods. Dr. Vance, citing personal reasons, withdrew from the Digital Humanities Project, her once bright star now considerably dimmed. Dean Sterling was seen conspicuously absent from the next board meeting. Elias Thorne, however, was not absent. He returned to his beloved special collections, not as a relic, but as its living heart. He still used his magnifying glass, his index cards, and his quiet wisdom. But now, students came to him, not to mock, but to learn. They asked about the texture of ancient paper, the weight of forgotten languages, the stories that only a lifetime of dedicated study could truly unlock. One day, a young intern, timidly approaching him with a faded manuscript, asked, "Mr. Thorne, how did you know? How did you find that hidden message?" Elias looked up, a faint smile gracing his lips. "Some truths," he said, his eyes twinkling, "are not found by searching for what's new, but by truly understanding what has always been there." He paused, then added, "And sometimes, you just have to know which rules are meant to be broken."